At the AI Readiness Project, we believe that in this remarkable age, AI isn't the main character. You are. While the tech is racing ahead, it's the humans who learn to harness AI mindfully that will win. Each week, we meet remarkable people doing just that. Join Kyle Shannon, tech leader and AI instigator, and 𝗦𝗵𝘇, fundraiser and AI consultant, as they lead the conversation about staying grounded, growing smarter, and leading with what makes us human.
Fellow human.
Fellow human. Hi, human.
Hi, human. What's happening? Good to see you, 𝗦𝗵𝘇. It's like nice I haven't seen you in nearly a day, so I don't know what to do with myself.
A lot can happen in a day.
It's true. Well, speaking of which, so this is how are you still sitting even? Because it's like Monday and Tuesday you had the virtual Create conference coming off of the real Create conference, which I know kicked your butt, as they say.
Yep.
And so you did that for those 2 days, and now we're here live doing this.
And now we're here live. Well, it's so energizing, though. I wish you could have been there, and I am going to share some of the take-homes with you, because the work that you and I have been talking about recently, especially since your experience being at the TED AI, and since the experience that people had at in-person conference in Salt Lake City for the Create conference, this notion of human-centeredness. And I realized about 2/3 of the way through our first day of the virtual conference that we were barely at an AI conference. You know what I mean? We were at a conference about like self-actualization and leadership and empathy and relationships. And also the conceit of the thing is that we're here to talk about AI. It's like the Trojan horse of it is, we came in like with the idea of an AI conference, and here we are talking about post-labor economics.
Yeah. Well, and I'm so excited. Our first guest. So if everyone doesn't know, we just closed our first season of this show about a month ago, and we called it Season 0. And today is Season 1, Episode 0. And so we're now starting Season 1. So I'm super excited about that. And our guest is Liz Miller Gershfeld, who's my co-host at the AI Salon. And we are launching tomorrow the AI Mastermind, what we're calling the Practice Lab. And the Practice Lab here, I'm going to give the good people if they want to join the AI Salon Mastermind, you can go to that link that'll take you straight into the Mastermind. But tomorrow we're launching the Practice Lab, which is where anyone who's part of the Mastermind that wants to join the lab, we're meeting once a week on Thursdays, and everyone in the Practice Lab is going to design their daily practice. And so the whole idea is sort of putting the human forward. And the way I think about this, Anne, and it's like you just described it perfectly with Create, is the tools are going to be ubiquitous. They're going to be everywhere. It's like, having an AI conference would be like having an internet conference today. Like, it's just like, you wouldn't have an internet conference because the internet is everywhere. You just kind of do your thing, right? AI is going to get like that. We're just not there yet. But I think we're getting there early. And I think what we're realizing is these tools can amplify us and what we want to do, which then begs the question, well, who am I and what do I want to do? And so I think, like, from where I sit, the more I learn about this, the more I realize that answering that question is the prerequisite to doing good work with AI, not the other way around.
Yes,
and so
absolutely
it makes perfect sense to me. Like, it feels perfectly thematic with the show, this episode, what's going on in the world.
Yeah. What I love about it is that we're arriving at the importance of the AI first mentality before we have to, because of a backlash of the machines taking over. We haven't lost our humanity, and we're not trying to get it back. We're protecting it, and we're infusing it and bringing that in, while also still obviously appreciating all of the all of the wonderful things that we can do specifically because of generative AI that we couldn't do before.
Yeah.
It's just that that supports the human part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. So I know one of the things that we want to do in season 1, more than we did last time, in season 0, you and I talked about how ready we were for generative AI. It was very much about us. We were like, a little of me. And so now we're talking about other folks. So I'm just curious, you had the in-person meeting, you had the virtual Create conference. What are some stories that stuck with you, or what are some things either people are doing or how they're impacted, things like that are really sticking with you? And I know you're kind of right off it, so it might be a little raw to be asking. Curious, anything pop to mind of people doing remarkable stuff, interesting stuff?
There's something that happens that surprises me every time so much that it should not be a surprise.
It shouldn't be a surprise.
But there will be say there's like 10 women, on a call, and or in a session, and we're all grappling with the same. I'll give you the example of like enterprise-wide AI adoption.
Okay.
10 out of 10 of us know that it's not going great, right? 10 out of 10 of us are sitting around scratching our heads going,
that's hilarious.
Like, we're all going like, well, WTF, and like, at what point, like, where's the breakthrough? The cavalry is not coming. So those of us in this room are the ones who are going to be figuring it out. And it's like that.
Yeah, leading the charge, right? Yeah. Right.
It's the moment of, it's us. We're the ones, right?
Yeah.
We're going to figure it out. And that feeling, it's weird. We're not used to owning that space without feeling a little bit delusional, right? Like,
well, yeah, it's it's funny. It's like starting a business, like, as an entrepreneur, if you've worked for companies for a long time and then you decide to start your own thing, there's always a point at which you're like, oh, someone should fix the blank copier, whatever, take the garbage out. Yes. And then you have this moment of like, oh, there's no one to, like, it's me. Like, it's me. I have to do that. So that's kind of what you're describing, right? That's what
I'm describing. Like, we are the cavalry, which it's just like with everything else. It's lovely when you know that you're the one who needs to do the thing, right? You're not wondering who's taking out the trash. It's you're doing the thing. So there's some relief in that. But then you're also going, well, like, certainly there are some people around here who know better than us, who have already cracked the code. But because of where we are in the arc of AI, like, and business in this context, we're just figuring it out early. And so then it's like, how do we harness one another's experiences and bring all that data together to grow faster and to communicate out to other people who don't have access to, like, a mastermind of 10 brilliant women who've been doing this for the last 3 years. How do we get that out to them?
Yeah. There was a similar sort of thing that happened with the World Wide Web, where a lot of the early jobs that we got, the responsibility of doing World Wide Web internet implementation was handed to the CIO, right? To the technology organization. And they know technology, and they don't necessarily know all of the other things you can do with the web, like, language and words and right, all that sort of stuff. And so, over time, over 20 years or so, that function migrated, quickly just out of the CTO's office. They had to do some of the infrastructure part, but how you actually implemented it and what you did on a website and what you said and how you engaged with customers, that had nothing to do with the enabling technology. It was all about the people using it. And I think AI is kind of that on steroids. And I don't think it's quite as bad, but the problem with AI is AI has been around for decades. So the technical organizations have managed AI projects for years, not generative AI. Right? Traditional AI, where you're doing things like predictive analytics and things that deserve in the tech stack, that makes sense that they would handle that. But this generative AI thing where it's about language and empathy and connection and things like that, it's going to live across the organization, and it's going to likely start with people who understand that dynamic, and that's a subtle difference. And so I think that it makes sense to me why companies are struggling with this, but at the same time, I think it does sort of put it on people who might not feel like, well, little old me, like I'm not an expert in this, like every time someone comes onto one of my lives and says, what are your qualifications? They'll come in and ask me some technical.
Oh God, I love that rant
about mathematical weights and like, what do you recommend? This mathematical protocol or that one? I'm like, I don't. Is that like division? I don't know.
You asked me about like the AI readiness of other people, and one of the kind of arcs I got to see yesterday was we had a woman who we were having there was a presentation that offered a framework for, can't remember what the framework was for, but it sounded very like it would only apply if you were a consultant kind of mapping a process onto a project. And the woman said, well, I'm an employee, so how does this apply to me? And people in the comments had some ideas, like maybe it's not your whole entire job. You don't need to have this framework for your entire job, but maybe for an initiative. And she was like, oh, okay. And I wrote to her and I said, well, just wait until you hear from Trudy, who you and I interviewed for the podcast over the weekend. I said, after you hear from Trudy, which this is foreshadowing for the people today, there will be an episode in a couple of weeks featuring Trudy Armand, and she is your income resilience bestie. So when you spend time in her presence, you quickly grow to understand how important it is that all of us have a plan B and a plan C. So sure enough, the woman who's saying, well, wait, I'm an employee, what does any of this have to do with me? Well, then she hears from Trudy and she's like, well, okay, I guess because I'm starting a business now.
Yeah.
Now I have to start a business. Yep. Now you have to start a business because everyone has to have 2 or 3 sources of income. It's just the new reality.
I think I told you, did I tell you on one of our previous recordings about Jim Ross's 17-year-old son and his best friend?
You didn't tell me about the son.
No? Are you sure? Oh,
no,
good.
Maybe you did, but tell me again.
Well, if I did,
again.
people may hear the story twice. But so Jim Ross, if you don't know, he runs 3 Mile Storage. He's out of Salt Lake City, I think. He lives in Utah. He's a one-man shop that's operating like a 10-man shop because he every day treats AI like a practice, and he finds ways to apply AI in a creative way. And he's very, very focused on his business. All of his AI is sort of focused on his business. And like many of us, he's got kids that he, he's the one, like we're the one going, hey kids, you should check out this AI stuff. And the kids are like, I don't care, whatever, dad. And so Jim Ross sends me this meal or this note on LinkedIn. He said, I just had to share this. Yesterday, my 17-year-old son told me that him and his friend last week started a Google business profile optimization business. He said they asked ChatGPT what they wanted to do and the steps to take. They used Lovable to create their website, learned how to create an LLC, opened a bank account. His friend is 18, used AI to create a pitch deck, used AI to create the email to pitch potential clients, had ChatGPT walk them through how to utilize Bright Local for fulfillment, landed 2 paying clients for $500 a month, and now they're just getting started. And then he ends it up with, he goes, the funny thing is, I didn't think he knew anything about AI until he told me all this yesterday.
Wow.
Astounding, right? And so here's what struck me about this, Ann. So when we started doing what is this AI stuff 3 years ago,
right,
it was almost like every time there was a new tool, we were like, oh, we've got to go learn that tool, the tools are now good enough, and there are enough of them that someone like his son can kind of hop in at any stage and just go, I want to launch a business. And within a week or so, they launch a business, build a website, have the plan, learn how to fulfill it, learn how to sell it, go pitch it, land 2 clients. They're 17 and 18, and they've got a full-on functional Google business profile optimization business. Yeah, exactly. Google business profiles are when you search for pizza, getting your business to show up there, right? And so it's optimizing those business profiles. But that's a very technical, complicated thing, and it's complicated to talk about. It's complicated to sell, right? You have to have value propositions about why you would do that better than someone else.
Yeah.
And they just went and did it. And so again, like we're in this place, talk about the income resilience thing. We're in this kind of moment in history that I think gets more and more powerful. But if you know who you are, and if you know what you want, and you know what you're trying to accomplish, whether it's raising more money or making a difference for people or whatever it might be, we do live in a world now where you can just do stuff. You don't need to have co-founders. You don't need to have business consultants. You don't, right? They figured out how to do their LLC. They figured out how to open their bank account, like all of that stuff. All of the knowledge of that was not locked in consultants. It was just there for them to tap into. And that, to me, it's the sort of, I guess the yin and yang of this is, you need to understand the tools well enough to know what's possible. And you need to understand what you want, what you're about, what are your values. And then let those two dance.
Yeah. So at any point in that journey, for example, if they didn't know Lovable was a thing, which, I do, and I know a couple of other ones, but if I were hard pressed to conjure up the name of a whole bunch of these different platforms, I wouldn't be able to, because I never committed it to memory. But they could, as they go, they're in conversation with whatever AI they're using. Let's just say ChatGPT, and they're like, "Hey, we need to make a website. What's the easiest, fastest way to make one that our future customers would like?" And it said, at some point, probably said Lovable. So they said, "Cool. What do I need to know in order to use Lovable?" They said, "Here's the URL. Sign up. Do this. Do that." And then they have a website, and then they go on to the next problem.
Right. And like the distinction there, the really subtle shift is, if they had gone to Google and said, I want to start a business, what Google would have then showed is, here are 10 ads about courses you can take to start a business. And then you're like, I just want the answer. And then you can't get to the starting line the way we did it traditionally. So the fact that they went to ChatGPT versus Google, all of a sudden they're just fast tracked to make this thing happen. And the thing I love best is like, Jim's like, I assumed he didn't know anything about AI, and he just kind of dumped on me this like 17-stage thing that they executed like on their own without asking him. Not, Dad, how do you open a bank account? They just did it all. It's amazing.
Yeah. I love that. So that's so the missing ingredient, though, for some people would be the confidence that it's worth their time. That, these 17 steps, if they continue, they will get through the many hurdles along the way, right? That's what people are unfamiliar with dealing with, is like, when it gets a little bit janky, does that mean that your whole thing is done, dead in the water? Or does it mean you might need to look at a different tool? Or does it mean that, they just released a new version of it and it's just acting janky today, or what? But what this won't do is it won't create motivation for you.
No.
If those kiddos maybe they had something they wanted to buy, or they just knew they wanted to get
whatever the motivation, they found the motivation, right? Maybe they want to be the next startup.
They found the motivation.
Yeah.
It's not magic. it does require
here's
other
another
ingredients.
here's another ingredient that I think is probably worth unpacking. If you use AI only as a tool to make what you already do more efficient, right? So if what they're doing, if they're still in school and what they mostly do is homework, and they just use it to make homework more efficient, and they only know that it can do homework, then they don't know all of the other possibilities, all the other things it can do. So they had somewhere, whether it was, Jim talking to them about AI can do this, and they heard some of the songs he did for his clients, whatever it might be, they had some awareness that there are capabilities here much broader than what they know. And so if someone is coming out of a day job where like, oh yeah, we use ChatGPT, but they only used it to write emails, and like all they did before was write emails, and now they only use ChatGPT to write emails. They're just seeing such a thin sliver of what's possible. It's just what they know. They don't necessarily, they're like a horse with blinders on. They don't necessarily know there's all these other capabilities. And I think that's part of when we talk in the AI salon about play first. Part of that play first is playing outside of that thing, so that you can have some awareness.
So that is the argument for playing with tools. Is you have to develop a curiosity around the fact that there's stuff you don't know that you can actually find out. You can play with it, and doesn't mean you have to devote your life to it, but that's a cool story.
Isn't that a cool story?
Yeah, that's a cool story.
And landed clients, like didn't just make a website, made a website, made a pitch deck, had email pitches, used ChatGPT to walk them through how to use Bright Local for fulfillment. I don't even know what Bright Local is. I assume they didn't know what Bright Local is, but it's a thing that they can fulfill their thing.
It helps them get monies, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Do they have to do any actual? Dare I ask if they are skillful at doing the thing that they're selling the service? Do they know how to do it, or
I don't know?
Maybe it's not. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. They got ChatGPT as their partner. ChatGPT knows how to do all that stuff. So that's the thing. And I think that this idea of this has always been the case, but I think with AI it's amplified. As human beings, I'll just speak for myself. There are certain things where I say to myself, I can't do that. And the I can't do that is not that I am not capable of doing it. It's that I have defined for myself that that's an area that I can't do something. I'm not smart enough mathematically. I didn't go to the right school. Whatever the thing, I don't have drawing skills. Whatever is the thing that I say I can't do, it has always been the case that limiting belief, you can get through it. But like, if it's something like I need to learn drawing, I might have to go back to art school pre-AI, right? Like I might have to take a 3-year detour to fill in one of those gaps. Well, with AI now, that the whole idea of I can't do something is increasingly kind of silly. Like it's kind of silly. I know Liz will probably talk about this, but she said at one point, she was like in her head, I'm not technical. And she's made some of the coolest she's like vibe coded up cool sites. I can't wait for her to talk about it. But it's like that idea, I can't do it, is kind of disappearing, like writer's block is disappearing. Have you noticed that writer's block isn't a thing anymore? Because we now have this partner that we can just go, I don't have any ideas. Can you give me 20? And it's just like, just dumps a bunch of ideas on you. Right? Yeah.
It's funny because I was raised to never say I can't. But all along I was like, this is such bullshit. We can all agree I can't.
We can all agree that I can't. Okay, AI might not help you with that, but when you get the XL humanoid robot that can dunk for you or can give you a little boost,
I'll be able to dunk.
Then I think you'll be able to dunk.
Pretty much anything else. I'll give an example. of something that I have said I can't for my whole life. And I just discovered last night, while I was dinking around with all the neat things that we might do for our deluxe replay bundle, which is what we are putting together for all of our attendees of all the various Create conference events. I was playing around with Notebook LM flashcards. Have you played with these yet?
Yeah, they're cool.
Wow. I mean,
They're very
so
cool.
the deal with the flashcards, at least here's what I took, my experience was that, you've put your content into Notebook LM and it has understood it a million different ways. And one of the ways it has understood it is in a way that you can have it make flashcards. It asks you a question, and ostensibly you're thinking of the answer, and then you press the button and it shows you the answer on the back, but then you can press and get more information, or you can have it take you to the place in the document or the talk or whatever it was where it was being spoken about.
Just amazing.
One of the things that I have always said I can't do is memorize the states and their state capitals. Well, if someone told me one interesting detail about either this state or this capital, when I'm supposed to be trying to memorize it, I'm good. I can do that. I just cannot understand why I should have to just memorize it out of the blue. I got to have a reason, a little something around it. And so now I unlocked another thing that I can do because the tool exists that allows my brain to map to it properly. Finally.
Yeah, it's a weird new kind of accessibility, right? Where you had this limitation. Sometimes you got physical limitations, sometimes you have mental limitations. These are like skills limitations or even confidence limitations, right? Or you just didn't gain the skills in your life to like connect those in a certain way. And now all of a sudden you can. And that to me, which is then again, I think it goes back to, and we're about to bring Liz up here. It goes back to then, okay, if I can do anything I set out to do for the most part, then what do I want to do? How do you choose that? And that's, I think, ultimately the big question. Why don't we do this? Why don't you tell the folks about She Leads AI? I'll talk about the AI Salon and the Mastermind because Liz and I are kicking that off tomorrow. I'm super excited about that.
Perfect.
But tell the good folks about She Leads.
So the thing I want people to know about She Leads AI right now, right off the bat, is that any Saturday, any woman who wakes up on a Saturday morning and says, I would like to hang around with some other women who are at least a little bit curious about AI and find out what's going on. From 10 a.m. Pacific to noon, we will be there. We will be on that call from 10 a.m. to noon every single Saturday, unless there's a No King's March or AI Festivus. So that's all. Like, if you are sitting there wondering, A, where are my people? B, like, my family won't speak to me anymore at all. I have worn everybody out. Where's like even just like one person I could talk to, they're there. If you're thinking you don't know enough to like be in a conversation about AI and feel confident, come to Social Saturdays. If you wonder where all the other really, really smart, like women who know a lot of stuff about AI are, they're there. So just Social Saturday is the one thing you need to know about She Leads AI. You can get your registration link at sheleadsai.ai and then just join us. And this weekend we have a woman who recently published a book. She's one of those really super fancy project manager people. I need to learn the terminology before Saturday. And she's going to be teaching exercises out of her book around AI and business, AI and enterprise adoption and why it's not working.
Got it. Cool. Beautiful. Beautiful. So AI Salon. If you've not been to AI Salon, if you've not been to our monthly meetings, if you haven't been to the community, head to the salon.ai, say join our community. You can learn all about it and see our events that are coming up, things like that. tomorrow we are kicking off. Are you all right, Ann? You disappeared. You got really short.
I have a standing desk, and I just had to move it down. Sorry.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That's really good. Yeah, I just looked over, and you were like, you were like, you're doing one of these. So tomorrow, Liz, who we're about to talk to, and I are kicking off the AI Salon Mastermind Practice Lab. So we've launched this idea of the AI Salon Mastermind Practice, which is a structured framework for designing a daily practice using AI. And if you go to bit.ly/AI-salon-mastermind, if you're in the mastermind, you can join us. So it's going to be every Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And over a 12-week series, we're going to be everyone's going to be designing their own personal daily practice. What does it mean to be in a daily practice around AI? This is really a practice around putting the human first and the AI at the service of the human, right? And this is really about asking those questions of like, what are my values? Whose life do I want to change? Do I want to change someone's life? Do I just want to entertain people? Do I just want to be? Whatever that might be, like these practices are going to be very, very personal, to the person, but we're going to do it in community and do it through this structured framework that I'm really excited about. So please go check out the AI Salon. And you're muted now, Ann.
I am going to miss the launch day, but I happen to know a guy who's involved with this whole endeavor. So I hope that you and Liz can keep me updated. I'm missing tomorrow, but I will do my homework and get back on track immediately.
You're going to be able to get on track. We're designing it in such a way where anyone can get on at any point along the journey. And I'm really excited about that. So with that, I think it is time for us to bring up Ms. Liz Miller Gershfeld. Before she comes up, Liz joined the salon, I don't know, 2 years ago, something like that, a while ago, and came in and just very quietly, very powerfully got herself up to speed on the community first, like what we were doing, what we were about, made sure that vibed with her, and then started running down these tracks, using a daily practice of getting herself up to speed on AI, and has done some remarkable things with it. So I am so excited. She's also the co-host of the AI Salon. Liz, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I know, I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys are doing such good things. So I just appreciate being a part of this endeavor that you have going on, helping people.
I know we have a few projects going on, don't we? But
yeah.
But do me a favor, catch the folks up on who you are, a little bit about your journey, and then I'm really excited to talk to you just about your just practice in general, but then what we're putting together for the mastermind.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess it's important to set the context of the journey in where I was, because that really informed where I am now. So for 23 years, I was an executive producer, an art producer at a creative advertising agency, which was a wonderful experience. And I got to work with the best of the best creative people inside and out, great clients. And it was a role that, gave me so many experiences and gave me an opportunity to develop a lot of creative discernment, because one of my roles was finding artists to bring onto campaigns of all kinds. And so I have seen thousands and thousands of portfolios. I used to, back in the old days, I had a light box and a loop in my office. I had stacks of portfolios. And then, of course, everything became web-based.
Yeah.
Went on so many photo shoots over the years, and it was a wonderful experience. And I think anybody who has worked on that side of things knows that a lot of things fundamentally started changing in the business, in terms of budgets getting smaller and the velocity of needs and the amount of things that we would have to produce be really increasing. And I have to say that there came a point where, as a human, and this was pre-COVID and then into COVID, it got really rough. And I have 2 kids, and so being a parent and then having a season of loss, people in my, people who are close to in our family, getting sick and dying and needing to really step up a lot of care, really created a great deal of burnout. And it really, I would say the crescendo was, I was on my way to a photo shoot, and it started to rain, and I was lost, and I had a map, and I got into a car accident, and I totaled my car. And I called a cab, the tow truck came, and I took the cab to the shoot, and I got to the shoot, and people are like, "You're late."
You're like, "I'm alive."
Yeah.
Wow.
And so what happened after that was I developed a meditation practice. I recognized that I really needed one, and that started.
Sorry to interrupt. Was that out of necessity? Was it like you were stressed out about all this stuff? Like what?
It was a swirl. I mean, it's like there's no one thing, right?
Yeah. Amazing.
But at the same time, on the other side of that, I have to say that I was exposed to a number of artists who really started to open my mind. There's a woman in Chicago who just won the MacArthur Genius Grant. Her name is Tanika Johnson, and she has a project called the Folded Maps Project, and she has many projects, and her work is brilliant. There's an artist named Everard Findley who does these very experiential sorts of pieces. An artist named Paul Octavius. I was invited I was very fortunate to be invited to something called Hyper Islands. And I started to learn about the Internet of Things, and I started to take my kids to maker spaces. And I recognized, and then AlphaGo beat Lee Sedol, and I started reading about this AI stuff going on and this black box problem. And I read a book about something called style transfer, and that this was a technology that was coming in the future. And I was like, we're done. And
you went there, right? The robots are coming.
Right. So this is just kind of setting the stage.
Yeah.
And then COVID came, and I was producing photo shoots from my kitchen table, and the cadence, it just keeps going and going. And then at the end of 2022, I decided I need to take a step back. I'm about to become an empty nester. And my younger brother at the time, who is no longer with us, was very sick, and he had cerebral palsy. And I saw that I could really be an advocate and be with him and spend time with he and my mom. So I decided this is my time. I'm going to resign, and I'm going to be full on with my family, and then I'm going to figure it out.
Wow. Amazing.
So,
it's amazing. It's really quite beautiful.
Yeah. So then, so then we enter 2020. So that was my last day of work was October 31st, 2022.
Okay.
Right? And then I think my first AI salon was March sometime in 2023.
Wow.
And then I started watching old salons, and any person that someone mentioned, any tool, I started watching videos. I started trying tools. I started signing up for things and trying. And I was like, it was quite a swirl, because going from 23 years and staring down, 2 young adult kids' college tuition, I was like very transactional with myself. I'm like, okay, I'll figure this out in a week. I'm not figuring this out. And it's like, wow, this isn't coming together in a week. And I felt like I was getting nowhere, but I was really drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
And even though it felt like I was getting nowhere, I was getting somewhere.
Yeah.
I just didn't see it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then the AI salon hosted Caleb Ward from Curious Refuge, and I signed up for their class. And I started to, and that was very, very useful to me in understanding workflows to put together AI films. And then I learned about, I heard the term vibe coding. I'm like, vibe coding? Well, that's for me. Whatever it is, I've got to try it. And I used Claude to vibe code a very simple tool that transformed video. And really, I was like, let's just see what it does and what I can do. And, how do I deploy it? And I used a large language model to figure out how, I have to set up a code terminal on my computer. And I just learned and I learned. And and I started to realize that these things that I thought I couldn't do, I could learn to do. Yeah. And I just kept pushing and pushing. And then, then you start to interrogate these things that you're making and ask the question, how does one professionalize any of these things that you're doing? And, having had a professional background, I had some ideas about what sort of framework I would apply to, because you're starting at an intersection. I am starting at an intersection of where I was, where I am, and where I'm going. And I'm all of those at once.
Yeah.
Which always makes you feel behind, to be perfectly honest.
I'm sure, because the where you were, you had 23 years of knowing how to get impeccable results from those technologies and those artists using those workflows, right?
Right.
And AI, just by definition, is this jankier, not quite ready for prime time technology. Mm-hmm. So how did you, and I would not even how did you and how do you reconcile the differences between those two? Because the fidelity of the work with traditional stuff is, where it was. It's you can control every pixel, and with AI, it's not that. How do you what's your relationship with that imperfection?
Yeah. The fidelity before, it's still, it's like the things that I learned from my years and that I continue to grow in my depth of understanding of is, number one, creative work is not a soft skill. And people think it is. We're all creative. we can all find, there's creativity in anything novel we do, any new connections we make, there's creativity in that. And so creativity is not a soft skill. So there's the playing part, the working with the limitations, what you refer to as the jankiness, the imperfections. There's that piece. And then there's the good creative work has to have fidelity to an idea. Yeah. And even in the past, that's not always the case. Even if the tools, even if the approaches and the execution are known quantities and are highly predictable in what you get out, that doesn't guarantee fidelity to an idea.
I see. Yeah. You can have a well executed thing that doesn't actually hit the core of the idea.
So much.
Right.
And then that's execution matters. And that's where it's always pushing. And that's where hybrid workflows come into play. That's also where, the technology is getting better and better. But for me personally, this sort of frictionless space feels like I'm slipping on a banana peel because, creativity for me, I have my own pace and it's not super fast. It's not. Yeah. It requires a long gestation. The time between having an idea and having an execution that I share is not usually, I just made this 24 hours and I'm sharing it. That's rarely the case for me. I don't have a group with other people who do that. Yeah. But I do think that that's where a lot of the tension, being a part of a long-term creative community, I am swimming in that water of the tension. And I hold that tension where people are scared, where people are angry, where people's feeds are filled with, what it seems like an endless scroll of work that doesn't necessarily have a great deal of thought behind it.
Yeah, and that's such a nice way to say it. Yeah.
It doesn't have it's the useful friction that any disciplined creative brings into their work. So the work I do, I have this brand. It's Not Liz AI, and it's sort of a nod to I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny, and it's fun. Also
it's funny and funny.
But not you.
It's not me. So it's a nod to radical transparency, but it also is a place that a place where I work through my own hesitation to make creative work and share it. So in that space, there's no creative brief. I try everything. I do stills, I do video, I do looping video. I make, I vibe code ideas. I have an avatar who looks like me, and I have I write her. I call her Not Liz, and I write her, and I strongly use my large language model to write the script so that the voice has that sort of large language. Normally when we write, we're trying to eliminate the LLM dialect. We want to remove all tells. But I'm sort of leaning into that with that character.
It's a style, right?
Yeah. And it's an experiment.
Well, I was just going to bring up that term. You've used that term before, and I really like it. And can you just talk a bit about that? Does Does framing the work you do in that space as an experiment, does that give you the freedom to share it? Does it take off the pressure to have it be perfect?
Yeah, it does for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just an emotional hurdle, but I really like thinking of it that way. And they really are experiments because they're like snapshots of technology at a time.
At a time, yeah.
Thinking at a time. You know, I mentioned yesterday at the wonderful Create conference that 𝗲𝘂 AI put on, and that the AI Salon was a sponsor of. I mentioned a series that I was working on, and I vibe coded it, and it was like I fell in love with infographics, and I was really struck by, you know, how much people create these false correlations to put false narratives out into the interwebs. And it, you know, it's like things that just because they move together, it doesn't mean that they have anything to do with each other. But
Right.
a lot of also a lot of lazy journalism relies on false correlation. So, and I have a degree in journalism, so it sort of informs this, like this thing. So, you know, I created these infographics, and you know, one, for example, is and their actual data. It's per capita yogurt consumption and UFO sightings in Florida moved together. You know? It's a wacky one. Or, you know, I was thinking about what kinds of, there's always this conversation around social listening that goes on to surface insights about what people are thinking about. But having a 20 and 22-year-old sons, I was really curious about meme culture and how much they're used as a shorthand. There's lots of political memes. There's lots of ugly memes out there, but there are also a lot of memes that are shorthand for collective emotional states. And I find them fascinating. And I personally create from inside an emotion. And so I vibe coded a meme dashboard that it taps into the Reddit API for all kinds of memes. There's a slider, so you can do, you know, you can do coder memes, dank memes, wholesome memes, IRL memes, which tend to be the most funny ones to me because, and the ones that hit me the most because they're more the introvert memes that I think are interesting. And then I use that as a creative exercise to, can I take this meme that exists as a still image with words? Can I turn it into a very short video that conveys the same idea without just ripping off the idea?
Brilliant.
Yeah. And so I've got a whole series of those. And
do those exist at your website?
No, I haven't put them on my website.
I know.
Yet.
I'm like, don't gatekeep. We want the dashboard now.
I have a lot of new things I haven't put on. I just finished a short, not a film. I hate to call them films, a short motion piece. It's only a minute and a half. I called it Overlooked. And I created it taking photos all over Chicago. A big part of my practice is stepping away from my computer, taking walks in nature, and living in the city. You know, you look at the nature but there's also traffic cones and dumpsters and just all of the things, but trying to see the whole of it and take in the beauty. And I created this piece, and it has 11 channels of audio. And so it's really more of a sonic tapestry. And I'm going to put it up on my website. But
good.
Yeah, but I have shared it on my social media.
Yeah, share it there. I'll share something with you, Liz. When I was in San Francisco, so I like street photography. I love getting out too, right? And the Grok app is really good at very fast video. And so I was actually walking from my hotel to the TED AI conference, and I was just doing kind of street photography, and I went, oh, what if I just drop my street photography into Grok? And like the minute you drop it in, it instantly turns it into a video. And like I had taken a picture of this building that had a sign on it, and what Grok turned it into was like the signs just fell in slow motion off the building. And I sort of stumbled into a new kind of street photography where it was like these warped memories of things that didn't happen. But you know, there's something about this sort of merging of the AI with the analog world, and I don't know, nimbly going back and forth between them. There's something there. It just felt, it was very experimenty. What you just described reminded me of that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So anyway, oh yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, so that's kind of the space where I experiment, and then the space where I work with clients is a little different. And I do this professionally. And so people are hiring me to do things like make short video clips that are a part of their existing workflows, to work with like a traditional pipeline, but bringing in video clips, or to create social media pieces for them, or to teach their team a little more about AI filmmaking, that sort of thing.
How's the resistance right now from the creative community in your circles?
The creative community is overwhelmed and fearful. And I don't think that there's anything that is like, so there, under those circumstances, resistance emerges. Yeah,
under the fear thing. Well, so that kind of leads to our question. So this is a question we ask every one of our guests, and there's no wrong answer, and I'm really excited to hear yours. What does AI readiness mean to you, and what would you say to someone that might be on the other side of that fear equation or hasn't really stepped into it yet?
Yeah, so it means several things. It means having a great deal of openness, and developing a tolerance for the discomfort of not knowing where it's going and not knowing where your own experiments may lead. It doesn't have to be like an immediate, this applies to the work I'm doing. Get curious about it and kind of lose the subject matter expert mentality. And also, you know, we have these identities as I'm good at this, I'm bad at this. I always thought, like, I had so much PTSD from, you know, navigating insurance, expense reports, Excel sheets. I was like, I'm not technical. And I used AI to learn. And those, if I had accepted those learning gaps, then I would have none of the access to.
You would have stopped. Yeah.
That's right. But instead, like leaning into those gaps, AI has helped me to do things I didn't think I could do, and get out of your bubble and form a community of diverse voices and people who are supportive of this learning journey. And don't let comparison and loud voices shut you down.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, so we're wrapping up I can't believe how fast
I know. I have 20 million questions and like points of connection. The one that I because I have to go because I have to be at my hairdresser's in a minute. I forgot. Is I want to talk to you and compare notes on being empty nesters. Your timeline and mine are very, very similar. You did a whole bunch of different things since November 22, but literally you're leaving your job. I left my job, then ChatGPT, family stuff, health stuff, kids leaving, And now here we are. So I think it's time for us to compare notes.
Order, disorder, reorder. We shall talk.
Yeah, great. All right, you guys connect. And then tomorrow, Liz, I see you again at noon Eastern. We kick off the AI Salon Mastermind Practice Lab. And so tomorrow's the kickoff. So if you're not part of the AI Salon Mastermind, you can go here, bit.ly/AI-salon-mastermind. Join the mastermind and join us tomorrow. So this is going to be a weekly lab. And it's not just us hanging out and talking. It's going to be an active lab where on a weekly basis, we're designing and refining our daily practices, putting ourselves forward and really asking a lot of the questions that you've discovered organically. It sounds like since you had these, how did you call it? These swirl of things. And you said, I got to start meditating in the middle of this swirl. And it has led you down this really beautiful path. So we're all going to get to design those in this AI-centric kind of way, which is super exciting. So I'm so excited to have you there. Anything you want to share about Mastermind?
Learn to surf in the chaos.
That's great.
That's it.
It is absolutely awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. What a delight. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you both. Okay.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Later.
Bye.